everybody, it's Stacia.
Hey guys, it's Jordan.
Let's get completely checked out, especially because I'm depressed. As you guys know, in our last episode, I was so hyped because it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. My guys didn't show up. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. And everyone keeps texting me, and they're like, are you okay? Are you sad that they lost? I'm like, no, they deserve to lose. I'm upset that they played like that, but they deserve to lose. I'm not mad that they lost. The Eagles totally deserved after that. But the plus side to it all is we got a bomb-ass halftime show. And to be honest, I didn't get all of the tea that was happening during the show until afterwards. And now that I know all the tea, it's so funny. And I love Kendrick Lamar a little more after seeing everything. So yeah, I'm excited to disassociate for 5 seconds because I'm over this.
Yeah, I had no horse in that race. So I was just saying
You
for
did not.
commercials and food and yeah, the halftime show.
Exactly. And we went
I
to a
did
friend's
love,
house.
oh, I was just gonna say,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
did love that SZA made an appearance.
Oh, yeah, she did really good. I heard rumors that she was going to be there. I did not know Serena Williams was going to make an appearance, but that was super fun.
Yeah.
But it was funny. I went to my mom's friend's house. There was like literally my parents, her and her husband, and then me.
Mhm.
And I asked her because from the Midwest, I'm like, can I bring anything? Can I bring an appetizer or some drinks? And she said, oh, bring an appetizer. And so I brought buffalo chicken dip because that's like the Midwest Super Bowl food.
Right.
And I got there and this woman made a buffet. She had roast beef sliders, mac and cheese, jalapeno popper dip, wings, Greek couscous salad. She made a homemade cheesecake, like all this stuff. And I was like, girl, why did you need my dip?
Yum. Oh my God, that sounds so good.
Oh, she is an incredible cook. And what was really funny, I'm actually eating the couscous salad that she made. And I was like, girl, I need this recipe. Send it to me. She goes, oh, I got you. She pulls out a binder of recipes that she put in little laminate sheets. And I love her. I love her. She is one of my mom's favorite, like one of my favorite friends of my mom's. She's so funny. So that was the plus of the day, at least. But at least I got some good food in there.
Of course.
Something made me happy that day. It's okay. But now we get to sit back, relax, and disassociate with some books. It's escapism.
Yep.
So what are you doing today? Honestly, you texted me what you're doing, but I didn't actually read what it was.
I'm doing Love in Other Words, which is a book I told you need to read.
Jordan, I love you so much, but you tell me to read so many things, and I always forget to read them.
Yeah, and this is a book where I actually read the physical copy, and because as many people do not know, I am a iPad Kindle reader.
Yes, you are.
And I love reading on my iPad because I feel like I read really fast because I see the percentage of the way I am through the book and I'm like, oh my God, I can just keep going. But this is one of the first books that got me back into reading physical. Yeah, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Absolutely love this book. These little tabs were points in the book that I had cried.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, one thing about me, I love crying over a book. That is what this book did to me. But yeah, this is another one of those cool books that is actually written by two authors.
Sisters writing smut again?
No.
Honestly,
I don't think so.
I saw my sister this past weekend because I went to the state where she lives to visit her. And I told her about that there was sisters who wrote smut together. And she went, no. She just looked at me and was like, we would never do that. I'm like, I'm not asking you. I'm just informing you.
I don't think they were writing the smut together. I think they took turns, or maybe they had pairings that they would write the smut for.
I don't even want to read any form of smut my sister would write. I don't want to know what goes on. I don't want to know what goes on in her brain in that regard. That's what
editors are for.
I don't know. All I'm saying is it's... At least with me and my sister, we just pretend like we don't fornicate with other people in that way, despite her being married with 2 children. I just pretend that she's a virgin. It's fine. I just, we don't think about it. We don't talk about Bruno.
This is not a spicy book. This is what you would call a contemporary romance. So it's written by Christina Hobbs and Lauren Billings, who publish under the name Christina Lauren. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So a little bit of a summary for this book. It's a story. It's about Macy and Elliot. They met in their early teens as neighbors in a small San Francisco Bay Area town. Macy had just lost her mother to cancer, and Elliot comes from a large family in which he is the youngest boy. And they fall in love, but then they have a falling out and don't talk to each other for 11 years. Despite him being the one to consistently reach out, she got upset with him about something he did, where I know in our fourth wing episode, I said I don't like the miscommunication trope. This was a miscommunication or misinterpretation of something that had happened with Elliot that Macy got pissed off about and then just stopped talking to him for 11 years. So
that's a commitment to just be like, fuck you.
Yep. And
okay, pop off.
Yeah, the way that this book is told is in a then now every other chapter. So it'll flip through between them as teenagers meeting for the first time and then them as adults reconnecting for the first time.
Oh, that's gonna make me cry.
Yeah, which is what I'm telling you, I cried a lot, okay?
I've been in the mood to cry too, so maybe just for kicks and giggles, even though I know everything that happens, maybe I'll pick it up.
Yeah, I definitely recommend this book. I love this book. It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it.
Please.
There is obviously death, and they do have sex, but it's not like smut. It's like losing my virginity for the first time type of sex.
No, this is gonna be sweet.
Yeah, it's such a good book.
Awesome. I'm gonna hate this. That's okay. I love it.
Yeah. This book actually has a prologue. I've read quite a few books that don't have a prologue at the beginning. So
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the story begins with Macy talking about her parents, about her father, Duncan, who is Danish, and about her mother, who was Brazilian. And they were deeply in love. And she says it was almost as if they created their own language. And she learned from them that love couldn't be anything other than all-consuming. But then her mother dies from cancer, and Macy doesn't want to love anymore. She doesn't believe in it. But her mom left her a list of points about how to raise Macy for her dad, because I think she had died around the age of 9, 10. It was before she became like a teen. This list of rules had one rule 25 that said, when Macy got too tired to talk, the father should take the daughter away from stress for a getaway, which is that cute little San Francisco Bay Area town. Okay. So they go to this like weekend home, and there is a library in this home. And it's like all about like books, reading. And that's how she connects with Elliot for the first time, because he has a bunch of siblings, and this library becomes their like secret hangout spot, basically.
Oh, stop. Jordan.
So cute. Okay.
There's other ways to hurt me.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
It is amazing and I love it. So let's get into actual chapters. So we begin with a now, where Macy is in town visiting, or she's in San Francisco area visiting her friend Sabrina, who she went to college with. And Macy's actually engaged to this douchebag Sean, okay? And she works in pediatrics. She talks about how the last time she spent time with a non-work related baby, because it's Sabrina's baby that she's holding, was when she had babysat for a large family who lived next to her when she was young. And that was Elliot's family, okay? And as she is reminiscing on him a little bit, would you believe it, sees him in this coffee shop that they're at.
Oh my God, what a coincidence.
Yep. They are like in the middle of talking about Macy being engaged to Sean, okay? And Sabrina really doesn't like Sean, okay? And Sean has a daughter, so she's already got that mothering aspect in her.
Yeah.
But yeah, when she sees Elliot, she's just like, holy fuck, okay? then we get thrown into a then, okay? And it's back to the first time she sees Elliot when they go to the weekend house. And when she gets to the house, she's, oh my God, this fucking sucks. I'm sad. I'm a teen. I hate my life. I want to be alone. And she ends up going into the closet that's in her soon-to-be room, and there's a boy reading in that closet, which is the closet that turns into the library. Okay.
That sounds like a B&E to me.
Yeah. And she learns that this boy, Elliot, lives next door, and his mom has a key from the previous occupants of the house. His mom has a key from the previous occupants of the house.
Still sounds like a B&E to me, but that's okay.
Yeah. So I just come over and hang out sometimes because they just let me do that sometimes, basically. She's, okay, I guess we can be friends or whatever, because he likes to read as much as she does. So that's how they start bonding. We're thrown back into a now where Elliot finally notices Macy, and she's like, fuck, get me out of here right now.
Well, yeah. When you see, if I saw my high school ex, I would probably do the exact same thing.
Yeah. They didn't date.
Oh.
I don't think.
Okay.
They weren't ever dating because they never went to the same school. It was, there's a boy I like that goes to a different school and he totally exists type of relationship. Okay.
He is real.
That's basically what it is, since they don't go to the same schools.
Side note, I'm like shocked I never pulled that shit. Just so we're all clear. I am also shocked. I'm shocked that I never tried to convince my friends that I had an out-of-town boyfriend that was totally real. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So basically, once he notices her, she like tries to get away, and then she left the coffee shop, goes in the wrong direction of the hospital, turns back around and runs into him because now he's obviously waiting outside of the coffee shop. And I called you a million times, and then your phone number changed and I couldn't get a hold of you anymore. And I just miss you, whatever, blah, blah. And he goes on to say, I can't just run into you, Saul's, which is the cafe or whatever, and be like, hey, Macy, what's up? And then you go to work and I go to work and we don't talk for another 10 fucking years. And she's just like, oh, don't really know what to say. But he had asked like how her dad is. And that's when we found out her dad actually died as well.
Oh, no. What?
And yeah. And Elliot is devastated. I'm so sorry. I wish you would have told me. I wish I would have known. I would have reached out. Like, I would have done something. I would have been there. Like, all that stuff. And then once they break and go in their own separate ways, she thinks to herself, wow, Elliot has been my person. He was my confidant, my best friend. And honestly, he was probably the love of my life, but he tore a hole in me and fate ripped it wide open and I can't get over it, basically.
Wow, that was deep. But
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was already crying at this point, just so everyone's clear.
This is just a Disney movie at this point. Like when parents aren't alive anymore, I'm like, awesome, a Disney movie. Let's do it.
Yeah. And this is the paragraph that I had marked. I gave myself 3 more seconds to look at him, and it's like another punch to the gut. He's my person. He's always been my person, my best friend, my confidant, probably the love of my life. And I spent the last 11 years being angry and self-righteous. But at the end of the day, he tore a hole in us and fate ripped it wide open. Ooh. I was sobbing already, so that was a great start.
I would also be sobbing. Great. Awesome.
So then we get thrown back into it then, okay? And his entire family is like greeting them, and that's when she like talks about like how many kids there are. So there's 4 sons and a baby girl. So the baby she was babysitting was his little sister. And they have a father, his name's Nick, and she calls him Mr. Nick, whatever. And he said that he was friends with the previous owners, so he knows all about the house. And if there's anything that needs to be fixed, just let him know. And Duncan gets really upset. Duncan's her dad. Okay. So then Macy confesses that her only crush up to this point was a boy named Jason in kindergarten. And I'm crushing on another boy, and I haven't had a crush on a boy in a really long time since my mom died. So this is interesting. So the boys are helping them unload all their boxes, and Elliot helps Macy with a box of books. And he sees one of the books and he's, oh my God, I read this book too. And he reveals to her that he likes to read a book a day. Okay.
A man after my own heart.
Yeah. And at this time, they're both in the 8th grade. Okay. Yeah. So we learn more about the dad and what he does. And then when he asks about her mom, she just like changes the subject. And then basically she starts worrying that she won't be anything to him, or if she's, I don't want to tell him that my mom died because then he'll just think of me as the girl with the dead mom type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
not what you want to be known for.
Yeah. So he sees that she's feeling weird about it. And he asked her, what's your favorite word? And she says it's ranunculus, which is the name of her mom's favorite flower. And this becomes a thing. They always ask each other what their favorite word is. Always. Okay. And so this is like common theme and it like builds throughout the book. And like it becomes a flirting mechanism at some point. Okay.
All right, let me tell you why I'm annoyed with you right now, because I'm about to do one of the darkest books that I have done, and you over here, I'm gonna give you the most beautiful and tragic love story.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
Why did you do this to me? It's okay. I forgive you.
So I've been wanting to do this book, but it has been quite a while since I've read it, so I know I'm probably getting things wrong. I am reading off of notes for anyone that's curious, because it's just been, I think I read that book back in 2021 or 2022. So
oh yeah, you gotta.
It's been a really long time. I would reread this 100%. It's just that good, but I don't feel like I want to cry anytime soon.
Really? Because I can't relate. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so then we get thrown back into a now, and this chapter is basically just her waking up from like a dream, and she's laying next to Sean, and she just feels, ugh, Elliot really fucked with me when I saw him, that little motherfucker. Because of course he looks hot as hell, gorgeous adult man.
Oh my God, how dare him?
How dare he? And of course she obviously still loves him. Duh. Yeah. She's just thinking to herself, I've never talked to Sean about Elliot before. And
so I guess now's the time.
She tries to talk to Sean, and Sean's just like, really, it's nothing too crazy. You don't have to do this right now. Just go back to sleep. It'll all be fine, whatever, blah, blah. And she's just, yeah, you're right. He sucks. Okay. God. He fucking sucks. Then we get thrown back in time, and we're close to Christmas. It's December 20th, my birthday. And they go to the weekend home for Christmas, and they are setting up the Christmas tree. And then around this time is when she reveals that she and Elliot had turned the closet into a library. And that's where they read the whole time. So they've been like putting together this library for a couple weekends in a row and stuff like that. She does make a comment that she's never been to his house. So she's like, I want to go see what the tea is. But Elliot brings over some cookies, and Macy's dad is like, all right, boy, come on, get out of here. But Macy's, please, Dad, can you stay and just hang out? We just want to read, whatever. And obviously he knows that there's, right? No. Like, they're not doing anything wrong or anything. He just knows that Elliot likes her and that she likes him.
Because he's a guy.
Yeah. So then Elliot asks Macy about her mom again. And was like, what did your mother like to do around the holidays? And she's like, you can't just ask stuff like that. And he goes, I'm sorry. I'm just curious type of shit. And it's fine. It's just like hard to talk about it. Well, I feel like I choke up and I want to cry and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So they drop the conversation. She talks about his looks a little bit, how he has braces now. They're reading together. And then this is where she finally really opens up about her mom, and they talk about her a little bit. Not really going to go into too much detail, but basically because she is really into books, it's because her mom got her really into books. She was a book buyer in the Bay Area. So
what a job.
She always wanted to own her own bookstore, but she was just like a book buyer. And she had also lost her parents really young as well. That's all that really matters about the mom in this point of time. But that's why Macy has a love of books. So now we're tossed back into a now. And Sean was previously married. Obviously, he has a child. And the wife or his ex-wife had a very bad cocaine addiction. And that's why she had left him. She was an investment banker. So we get more insight into what the tea is with Sean in his life. Sean and his ex-wife did the thing, whatever. However many years later, Macy meets Sean and is like hooking up with him. And then obviously she's at his house. And obviously Phoebe, 6-year-old Phoebe walks into her room or his room and is like, "Oh, are you our new roommate?" And then she obviously falls in love with Phoebe and she keeps seeing Sean, regardless of the weird shit that, And Elliot is now figured out where she works. He might be waiting for her or for her to get to work or waiting for her to leave work a couple of times. Okay.
Don't love that, but okay.
Yeah. And the reason why he figured out is because his brother's, like his older brother's wife, is actually the receptionist at the hospital.
How small is this town? Oh my God.
Yeah. And maybe she tells him what days she works, okay? Maybe she does that.
Maybe she does some illegal things that she should not be doing. That sounds illegal.
Yep. But
I'm gonna say this now. If anybody I work with tells my ex where I am at any given time, you are getting hit with some kind of lawsuit. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but your ex is a fucking crazy person.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, fuck you. Continue.
Yeah, so obviously Elliot isn't crazy. So he gets there and she is, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Come get breakfast with me." And she's like, "I only have an hour." And he's, "Okay, fine. I just really want to catch up with you, whatever. Why haven't you called?" She's not answering. And that's when she realizes it's actually the day before his birthday. Okay. This man is a Libra. Okay.
It's important.
It is important because he acts like a fucking Libra. Okay. And when I was reading this, I'm like, typical Libra energy.
Oops, sorry, I just like accidentally kicked my thing. Anyway, continue. Typical Libra energy.
Yeah, typical Libra moves. Okay. He basically, they like hang out. He's talking about himself and then he's, "Okay, did you move back to be close to your dad?" And then she's, "Okay, I'm going to change the subject to ask more questions about you." The phone rings. Elliot's phone rings and he ignores it. Macy asks, "Who is that? Who's calling?" And he admits it's the girlfriend he broke up with last night.
No. Okay, listen. I'm going to bring up, you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Of course.
Have we talked? I think we've talked about this on an episode, the Dahmer-Dobler effect. Have we talked about this?
No, we haven't.
It's where, if you remember correctly, it's where an action done by somebody can either be conveyed as really romantic or really creepy.
Oh, yes.
Depending on how the person looks at it. All I know is right now I'm kind of getting Dahmer because I'm like, so he saw his not really ex-girlfriend from high school and then went and broke up with his actual girlfriend. Mm-hmm. I'm getting Dahmer.
Just wait.
Oh, it gets worse?
This is why I'm saying he's such a fucking Libra.
Oh, no.
He says to her, okay, he tells Macy that she is the love of his life, that Macy is, and he can't continue pretending to love another person. That make you feel? Because if I was on the receiving end, I would probably be like, "Oh, I still got it."
Someone who was just dating a Libra. I feel a lot of things about it.
Yeah. I think we both dated Libras.
Yeah. Libras are a special
breed. They would do this.
They have done
They have no filter. They have no filter. They just, something pops in their mind and they just fucking do it. Yeah. And then they're like, and of course, they're all hot. Because all Libras, whether you're female or male, hot. Always. Doesn't matter. So they know they can just do whatever they want.
That's so true. I know so many Libras and they're all hot. What is this?
Yes. So anyway, I'm going to continue.
Please do.
And she's trying to leave now because she's just like, what the fuck do you mean you broke up with your girlfriend? What the fuck do you mean I'm the love of your life? We haven't talked or seen each other in 11 years. What do you mean you love me and you don't want to keep pretending to love someone else? So then you can't just continually run from this conversation. It's been 11 years in the making. I know I messed up, but was it that bad? So bad that you just vanished? And then that's when she reveals that she's getting married and that whatever was between them is over.
Okay.
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 Okay. I go through the next couple of chapters pretty quickly because the beginning 7, super important for setting the scene.
Absolutely.
The next, I don't know, 8 to 10, you just learn more about the relationship basically. And it still is going back and forth, whatever. Okay. Chapter 8, we're going back in time. This is them spending Christmas together. It's December 21st. So from the first time they got there, and then now they're doing Christmas the next day. And so they're just doing Christmas together, and it's warm and lively. And she keeps thinking about, I don't want to go back home or back to the weekend house because it's cold and stale and sad and depressing because obvious reasons. And then we jump back and to the now where Macy's telling Sabrina about all the crazy ass shit Elliot fucking did. And obviously Sabrina knows her heart and also hates Sean.
I also.
So basically Sabrina's like, why are you not happier? You obviously have feelings for him. You loved him for sure. You probably still do. And Sean sucks. And Macy's, you literally just hate Sean. So that's why you're saying all this stuff. And Sabrina's, no, that's not true. But Sean is the only other guy you've been with.
Oh, so her dating history is very minimal.
Yeah. So maybe you shouldn't marry this guy also, by the way.
Yeah, may not.
She thinks that Macy should reconnect with Elliot because it's obvious that he is her soulmate. Okay. And Macy tells Sabrina that she hasn't told Elliot what happened. And Sabrina's, what the fuck do you mean you haven't told him what happened to your dad? And she's, if the roles were reversed, would you be upset about this, about him not telling you? Right. Okay, let me find him on social media. Do you think this man has social media? No. Okay.
I feel like it's a red flag when a man is super active on his social media.
Yeah. Anyway.
So usually the good ones are not. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. I do want to find this chapter because I want to know when her birthday is, because this is about her birthday. So we are.
Oh, yeah. What is she?
Yeah, I know. I can't remember. So give me 1 second. Okay. We are. Yes. Okay. Here we go. Oh, wait.
You're purring so loudly. You act like I'm never home. I'm literally always home.
Okay, never mind. Her birthday is not in this chapter, I don't think.
Okay.
Or maybe it is. If it is, she's also a Libra, okay?
Okay. Oh, she's also a Libra.
If it is, it doesn't really actually state it. But basically, this chapter is an email that Macy writes to Elliot because they haven't been back to the house. And this is 14 years ago rather than 15 years ago. So it has been almost a year, okay?
Okay.
She thanks him for giving her the Bridge to Terabithia book, and reading it makes her realize that Elliot is the one person who understands her best. Okay. And she's reading it in the car. She's reading it multiple times and she's crying because obviously that's such a sad book. And she's telling her dad about it and he starts crying. And then she just thanks him again for getting her the book and, all that stuff. So Elliot tells her that he also cried when reading the book too. And he hopes that her dad isn't mad at him for giving her a book that made her cry. And then he also says he likes her for being cool regardless of having a mom or not, which I think is
okay. What a comment.
Yeah, they've gone close to the point where it's really not a diss or anything. So then we get thrown back into the now where Macy actually asks Liz, which is his brother's wife, for Elliot's phone number. And she texts him that she wants to meet. And he's, yeah.
I've only been stalking you. Of course I want to meet.
Oh, found her birthday. I knew it. Okay. Her birthday is March 13th. No, she's not a Libra. I couldn't remember if it was which then chapter it was because he got her the book in chapter 10, but her birthday is March 13th, which would make her.
She's not an Aries. What's before Aries?
Hold on. No, she's Pisces. She's Pisces.
Pisces. Okay.
Makes sense. Yep. Okay. All right. Macy asks her dad if they can go to the weekend house for her birthday. And her dad's okay. Do you want to bring your other friends? And she's no. And then her dad reminds her that she's too young to date. And she's like, Dad, don't be gross. Obviously, she wants to spend her birthday with Elliot. Just skimming over this chapter 2, nothing really crazy happens. But she does hang out with Elliot most of that time in that chapter. Macy, like, they're at his house, and Macy starts feeling jealous because she's meeting his friends. And she doesn't really have other friends like how he has other friends. And
Bummer.
You do a lot more stuff than I do. Okay. And what really sparks this jealousy is that she sees a picture of Elliot with a group of other boys and girls. And he tells her that one of the girls' names is Emma.
Oh.
And they maybe kissed. Okay. And she's pissed. She's pissed.
Yeah.
And it didn't mean anything though to me. And she's, I have no idea.
It never does.
Who you are, like outside of our weekend hangouts. But she's just says, oh, they seem nice, whatever. He tells her that his mom's pregnant and he wants to go back to her house to go to the library. He's like asking if her friends are going to come over and hang out for her birthday. And she's, no, I'm with you. You're my friend. We're spending my birthday together. And she lets him know that she stopped really hanging out with her friends once her mom got sick. So she grew apart and they all went over their own separate ways. And once you're that age too, like they're in the 9th grade, 10th grade, maybe. Once you lose those friend groups, it's really hard to reconnect, especially in high school and all that shit's like going on.
Oh God, it's so difficult.
But yeah, so she's like opening up about this stuff to him. And then did I ever tell you I have my mother's hair? And he goes, I think you have the prettiest hair I've ever seen. So he's starting to like flirt with her a lot more in these next couple of chapters, which is really cute. Or in the next couple of then chapters. In the now chapter that we're being thrown back into, they're going out to dinner. That's their hangout. And they both are saying how nervous they are to hang out for the first time after 11 years, where they're like, going to be spending a lot longer than 10 minutes together.
But yeah,
they just chat. Nothing really happens here, to be honest with you. They're just nervous and they chat, and she feels that the two of them are like syncing back up again. And the one main thing that kind of happens is he knows exactly what she's going to order and what she likes to eat. So he orders for them, which I think is super sweet.
Yeah.
We're thrown back into a then. And this is, of course, when Macy gets her period for the first time. And she's freaking out about it. And Elliot is comforting her. And Duncan is searching for the list of what to do that the mom had written when she gets her period. Yeah. And basically, the mom had left her a letter about this, which is really nice. I also cried during this part as well. And the mom basically says, just love your body and take care of it and don't let anyone abuse it. And you're beautiful and things happen are natural and whatever.
So sweet.
Yeah. So then Elliot, they hang out and he's like spending time with her, and they're 15 now. So they're like opening up more about their day-to-day lives. And she tells him that I started my period, and he like holds her because she's obviously in pain, and he's, is there anything I can do for you? And she's, not unless you can bring my mom back. And I was crying.
Oh, stop.
But then he asks if she wants him to bring her like a hot water bottle, like a heating pad, and she says no. And he says, because it would make it feel like I'm your boyfriend. And she thinks he is more than that. He is her every friend And he says, I guess we're too young for all that. And she responds with, yeah. And I'm like, that's kind of like really cute.
Yeah, it's actually adorable.
Yeah. Now we're thrown back into the now where we get to experience Sean. Annoying.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting.
She wakes up from sleep after their night out at dinner, thinking about Elliot, and Sean's like trying to bang. And she's, I don't really want to bang you right now. I really do want to tell you about my dinner with Elliot, though. And he's, I really don't want to talk to you, but about that. But that's my first love. And then we had a fight one night, and then we didn't talk for 11 years. And he goes, okay, do you still love him? And then he's like, it's okay if you do. And then she gets upset by that. And he admits he might feel the same way if his ex-wife walked back into his life, which is crazy. I'd struggle with all of that anger and hurt. And yeah, the love that I still have for her. I never got to fall out of love. I just had to move on when she walked out. And when you read that, you're like, okay, why are you guys engaged to each other? Why do you want to get married when you're not over your ex? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we're thrown back into it then. This is just basically they have Thanksgiving together at Elliot's house. And I really wish I had a family life like this. It's just lively. It's reminiscent of how Christmas was when she spent there that first Christmas. And then we're thrown back into a now. And she's, do I want to get married to Sean or am I still in love with Elliot? And that's basically all that chapter is about. And then we get thrown back into a then. And this is where Elliot tells Macy that he loves her. Okay. And this is how it goes. Macy is aware that other girls in her grade are starting to date, but she's not. She complains to Elliot that boys want girls with boobs and who wear slutty clothes and flirt, not bookish girls like her. Elliot says that he doesn't want those things. And for what it's worth, Andres thinks you're cute. Elliot told Andres that if he touched Macy, he'd kick his ass. And Andres is his best friend. Good. Like his boy best friend. And then they go back to reading. And Macy's head is on Elliot's stomach as they're reading. And then her dad walks into the library and they assure him they were doing nothing, which they weren't doing anything. They were just reading. And when he leaves, Elliot notes how big Duncan's hands are. And Macy tells Elliot she found her dad's dirty magazines. And they start talking about masturbation, which is great.
Oh, that is not okay. That's a little crazy, but okay.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a wild chapter. A lot of shit goes on in that chapter. Okay.
All right.
So then we're thrown back into they had an emotional dump and then they had to switch topics to make it cringy funny. Mask all the emotion that they had. Okay. Then we get thrown back into a now. And she's finally able to admit to herself that she's unhappy with Sean and she's ready to call it off. And then go back into a then. Macy hasn't seen Elliot since her birthday weekend, so she's kind of what the tea is with that. And when they're reading in the closet, he tells her that he had gone to prom with his friend Emma last weekend, which is why they didn't see each other. And she asks if he got lucky, and he says that he doesn't even like Emma romantically. Then she asks if he kissed Emma, and he blushes, which makes
yeah.
Yeah. And she's okay, so you did. And then when Elliot asks what's new with her, she says she had her first orgasm.
Oh.
And he asks what she thought about it. And she asked him if he thinks about dragons anymore. And he says he only thinks about girls and their parts. And we're just like, what are we talking about?
Teenage boys are the worst.
They're so weird. And we don't ever find out if he kissed her or not. So it's fucking annoying. Okay. And then we get thrown back into a now where her friends are telling her that Sean is fucking boring and acting distant and that he's only really interested in his daughter, which is fine. His daughter's 6 years old. That makes sense. And then they're all out at a picnic talking, and Elliot just so happens to be there, of course. And she blurts out that she arranged the whole picnic just so he could meet her friend. Interesting. And they talk, everyone loves him, whatever. And he asks if she wants to come with him Oh, sorry. Andres is his brother, not his best friend. So sorry. My bad. So he asks if she wants to go with him to his brother's wedding on New Year's Eve or on New Year's, sorry. And she's, I don't know. I have to ask Sean first. And you're like, bitch, just dump his ass.
Exactly.
Anyway. So then we get thrown back into another then where it's summertime, okay? And she's hanging out with all of siblings, and there's a girl that drives up, and Elliot goes over to meet her. And Andres shouts, Elliot, bring your girlfriend up here to meet your other girlfriend.
Oh no.
And Emma pretends to not know who Macy is because, of course, this bitch is Emma. And she says to Macy, it's never mentioned you.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Hold my earrings.
Yeah. So anyway, she gets super upset, obviously. And Elliot asks if she's ever kissed anyone, and she says no. They have a lot of communication as teenagers. Like, they're very open and honest with each other. But anyway, he asks, and then that's when she says no. And then that's when he tells Macy to kiss him. And they do. So this is their first kiss.
Ooh. Oh, sweet baby angels.
And then he, obviously they start making out, but then he's making groping moves, and she pulls away from him, and he's, oh shit, sorry, Mace, that was too fast, I'm sorry. And she says, doing that might not mean anything to Emma, but it means everything to me.
Oh,
so that's her setting her boundaries. Love that for her.
Yes.
Okay. Stupid shit happens. The whole fucking thing with Sean. They try to have sex, and Macy's, no, I don't want to do that. And she's asking him, are you excited to marry me? And he says yes, but that he has already been married and already knows the highs and lows. And he surprises Macy by saying that she needs to figure out what she really wants. And he could have her, he could not have her, he could not give two fucks. And it's, girl, Elliot wants you. Go back to this man. But we still haven't learned what he had done. Yeah, we still haven't learned what he had done. So we're still on the outskirts of what the fuck the tea is, okay? Yeah. But we are getting close to figuring out what it is, okay? Good. We get thrown into a then, and they're making out or kissing often now, okay? And Elliot, when there's an awkward silence, Elliot asks her what her favorite word is, and she says zipper. And he notices Macy keeps looking at his crotch. Oh, and she says she doesn't know how it works with guys when they, and Elliot is surprised by this, and Macy says, I don't have sisters. I need someone to tell me about these things. And then Elliot asks Macy if she thinks about him when she's away. And she asks him the same question, and they both admit that they think about each other constantly. So we're finally getting to the fucking juicy bits, okay? Macy asks Elliot if he has a girlfriend, and he just goes back to reading. So then she's, are you upset with me? And then he says that he just admitted he thinks about her all the time, and she should know he doesn't have a girlfriend. So he's like, why do you keep asking me these stupid questions? You're all I think about type vibe. And then he says that maybe he should be her boyfriend. And then they both agree, saying, So basically, she finally admits to Sabrina that she's having doubts about marrying Sean. And Sabrina's, thank God, you were so much happier when Elliot was around. And he's so much more lively. He wants to get to know your friends. He wants to be part of your life, and Sean just doesn't, which is whatever. Then we're thrown back into it, and then Macy and Elliot are in the closet, and this is the only place that feels comfortable. And Elliot asks her what her favorite word is, and she says excruciating. And they're in 11th grade at this point. And there's a boy named Ravish that asks her to a dance, and her friend Elise is interested in him, so she turned him down. But then he had spread a rumor that Macy told a mutual friend she wanted him to ask her so she could reject him. And Elliot says he could go to the dance with her, and she asks why, and he says that even though she refuses to believe it, he wants to be the main person in her life. And his new favorite word is vex. Okay.
Ooh.
So we're getting closer to the plot twist slash spoiler. So if you don't want to have any spoiler action, now would be the time to scoot away and hop over to Stasia's. Okay. I'm not even going to go back to the then or to the now because she's just still up in the air about this Sean bullshit, which is just, it's getting annoying at this point, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
So here is where things get crazy. Okay. Elliot gives her a couple copies of different books. They're erotica books. Okay. And she doesn't want to read them, but Elliot says he'll leave them for her anyway. And after a week, she caves and starts reading. Elliot catches her and she's reading. She reads another book. Don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not even going to give it a try. And notices that the book describes sex without emotion. She says this to Elliot and he laughs and tells her to read the foreword. And in that, it explains that it was commissioned by a wealthy man who wanted stories written just that way. Men that prefer sex without emotion. That's like the book she was reading, which is a foreign concept, obviously. We're always told, do that with someone that you love.
Yes.
He's upset that Macy doesn't invite him to the spring formal like he had previously suggested. And when he like questions her, she's, I don't really want to break out of our little bubble. We're so good in this closet. I don't want to mingle you with my day to day. She's nervous about it. She's nervous that she's obviously going to lose him because there's other girls that are interested in him, obviously. But that'll never happen. And then she says, number 43 on my mom's list was that Macy shouldn't have sex until she can talk about sex. Elliot asks if she wants to talk about sex now. She punches him in the thigh. She wants him to be her boyfriend, but she needs to transition slowly. She says, I didn't want to lose a single precious bit of him. So I really want you to be my boyfriend, and then we can do that type of stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm probably just going to skip all the now stuff from here on out because it's really not a part of the juicy story yet. Okay.
Makes sense.
So in the closet, they're reading. Elliot wants Macy to come to a dance at his school, and she doesn't know how to feel about it. And then he gets a text from Emma, but he won't let Macy read it. And
probably smart.
So she reaches for this phone. The phone lands on top of him, but she ends up on top of him as well because they're like tussling, fighting. And this is where they're like making out in the fun way of making out, if you catch my drift.
Ooh.
And then they stop doing that. He immediately gets up and runs out of the room, and she's, what the fuck just happened?
That's not what you want.
Yeah, she begins reading again, trying to get her mind off of it. And then he comes back and she's, did I hurt you? And he says no. And then he makes a circle with his hands. And then that's when she understands what she had done to him for him to have to go and leave, change his clothes, and then come back. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yep. They agree they both want more from each other. And like, it's hard to see where those lines lie. Because obviously they don't want to lose their friendship either. Because she says to him, but I would die without your friendship. And I feel the exact same way. You get two nows back. Or sorry, no, you get a now and then a then. But the then is really short. And Elliot recounts that they've kissed, touched, and that he doesn't want to think about them doing those things with other people. And Macy agrees they should stop pretending that they aren't together. So this is them making themselves exclusive, okay? So finally, Elliot and Macy start exchanging emails during the week. And Macy's dad starts saying that they can't go up to the cabin this weekend. He has to get some things done. And then Macy asks if being together is a mistake to Elliot. And Elliot immediately calls her to say no. They just need to stop emailing so much or they won't be able to control themselves. Then he says, it's only one more year until we graduate, and then we'll be where we need to be together. They'll have the opportunity to be together, okay? At this point, because they're getting older, Macy's dad is, you can't read up in the closet anymore. You have to read downstairs or outdoors, no more closet. And it's because one of her mom's rules is be safe. Okay. So this is when Macy also starts taking birth control. And her dad clarifies this is not you getting permission to have sex. And you just want to be safe. And then Duncan ends up leaving Elliot and Macy alone for a while. He goes to grab dinner ingredients. And this is where they do stuff for the first time. Not sex stuff, but close to sex stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And then basically Elliot gives her a little thing. And then Duncan gets home and they like quickly get back to normal type thing. Okay.
Yes.
Then they are allowed to go back into the closet but they just have to keep the door open. So they're both reading. They hear her dad leaving in the car, and this is where they have sex for the first time. Okay. But then it happens really fast in a sense of her dad gets back and they have to get dressed quickly. And then her dad comes in right as they finish dressing and tells her that he got a fax and they need to leave for the city in an hour. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And we find out that she had to go to a black tie event with her dad, or there was like a work thing happening and he had to go back. And then a week later is the black tie event that she had to go to. And Elliot calls her from a house party he's at. Okay. So she's out at this black tie thing. He's at a house party drunk. He tells her that he loves her and wants to marry her, and that, I'm just a little bit drunk, but it's fine. Every word I'm saying to you. And like, I really don't want to talk about this over the phone. And by the way, it's New Year's Eve. Okay. And she says she'll give him his New Year's kiss on Saturday when she sees him next, and they get off the phone. Duncan asks Macy what's wrong. And she says she's afraid of losing their friendship her friendship with Elliot, and wonders if they should just go back to being friends. Because obviously, like, she heard stuff over the phone. There was obviously girls there. Obviously, Emma was there. So she's just, I don't know what you're doing. And it's hard because I'm a teenager and I don't know if I can trust you. Yeah. Even though she trusts him, of course. And Duncan says that if he's the one, they can't just be friends. He's your Lace, or however you pronounce it, which is her mother's name, Lace. I don't know if I'm saying that. That's your soulmate, okay? And Duncan's, you can take my car to go see him tonight. And she's, oh my God, Dad, thank you so much. And this is where the tea of what happens is about to happen. Macy gets to the house party. She realizes she doesn't know exactly which house it is. She ends up finding it. Or she ends up calling him. Christian answers the phone, which is his friend, and says that she says it's Elliot's girlfriend, Macy, and hey, it's this address here. And then someone in the background says, don't. And Christian says, what the fuck do I care? And she's, okay, that's weird. When she gets to the party, she's, have you seen Elliot? Brandon, another one of Elliot's friends, says he's really wasted and tries to prevent Macy from finding him. Macy goes upstairs and finds Elliot passed out with a naked Emma next to him.
Oh, no.
She says she's known heartbreak before, but this was a different sensation, like a lit match held to the bloody organ inside, holding steady, waiting patiently for it to dry out, harden into coal, and catch fire.
Oh, poor girl.
Then, this is where Christian comes back into the story, because she's obviously, what the fuck? And Christian says, they have a history. Let it go. It's not really a thing. They just fuck around sometimes.
No.
So what do you mean by they fuck around sometimes? Are you telling Macy that Elliot's been cheating on her with Emma when it's the normal day-to-day and not the weekend? Fuck you. Okay. She wonders if he and Emma had been having sex this entire time, that they've been like exclusive. Okay. She thinks she only knows Elliot 1/3 of the time. Otherwise, she doesn't really know him at all. And that is the thing that caused them to not talk for 11 years. So now we're going to go to the now chapter that actually matters. And they are finally talking about what happened at that house party. Okay.
Yeah.
Elliot says that he was intoxicated and believed he had sex with Macy. And it wasn't until later that Christian told him it was Emma and what Macy saw, and that Elliot had called her several times a day for months and that she never responded. And she had says the Emma thing feels so small now. It was just the first domino. We had this deep, unbreakable trust, and you broke that. You did. But it's not just that, it's also me. And then he asks if he deserved a second chance. And he says, that's a knockdown, drag out fight that isn't disappearing for a decade. And I've never loved another woman the way I've loved you. And every other woman I've been with knows it, which crazy. Also.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
And Elliot says that he still wants her, but wonders if he still should. And he kind of just like walks away because I don't deserve you. I fucked up. And now that I know why you're upset, now it all makes sense, whatever. She's now talking she's talking to him again. And he always shut down but we have to have these tough conversations. And she's, I'll come over tomorrow. We can talk. And she imagines like talking with her father and like getting his advice or whatever. And yeah, so it's really tough. And anyway, we go back to the then, okay? And she had called her dad to come pick her up or to come to the cabin, and tells him that Elliot made a mistake and she wants to get driven back. And Macy's really fucking upset, okay? We still haven't found out what happened to her dad. This is where we find out.
Oh, no.
They get into a car accident. And the other driver was a stoned student driver, so a beginning driver. And Macy's dad was focused solely on her. They weren't paying attention to the road, and the driver swerved into their lane, so it killed her dad instantly, the car accident.
Oh my God, no. Stop it.
Yep. That's her other half of what Elliot did. Because if Elliot would have never had sex with Emma like she thought, I would have never called my dad to come to the house, and he would have never gotten into the car to drive me home, and he would have never gotten into the accident and would have never died. Okay. She puts that blame onto the Elliot situation, which fueled the fire of the incident. Elliot doesn't know that part, of course, until she tells him. And he's, oh my God, this explains so much. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say or what to do. And Macy explains she was intentionally trying to avoid seeing him. At college, she felt numb, and it was easier for her to feel nothing at all than to talk with him. And Ellie's just like, how do I say I'm sorry? How do I ever make up for all this pain? And Elliot says that I think it's time we move out of the closet and into the real world. And even though Macy thinks that the closet is the safest place for both of them and like their relationship to live, that even though things fell apart when they tried to bring the relationship out into the world, they have a chance now to make it better and move on from the past and reconnect and do all those things. In the now, final chapter, I think. Yeah, final chapter. They end up moving in together in this city, and they get to live happily ever after.
Aww.
And it ends with him asking her what's her favorite word, and she says you.
Oh, honestly, that was a lot of trauma. A lot more than I thought.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh God.
A lot of great stuff, a lot of good story. And if you want to cry, that book will make you cry. And if you want to just read this is, in my opinion, this could happen. This is a relationship that could exist in the world, which is also why I really loved the story. And I wonder if I have it in here. Fuck, I don't think I have the quote I really bookmarked. Damn. There are a lot of really good quotes as well. And it seems so natural. Like all of the what's your favorite word and that little thing, the reading in the closet, the innocence of reading with your best friend. And
that's so sweet.
It's so good. If you want to read a cute little love story, please give it a shot. It's so adorable. And yeah, highly recommend. And it's really not too bad of a read.
No, it doesn't look like it.
It's okay. It's 400 pages.
It doesn't look bad though.
It's really not that bad. You'll read it so quick because it's so good. But yeah, that's my story. I hope you guys liked it.
Oh, we're gonna move on to more trauma. Alrighty.
I'm excited.
I'm glad you're excited. I initially said I wasn't gonna do this book because it was really dark, but then I didn't care anymore. So today I'm going to talk about What Lies Between Us by John Mars is my favorite author. Period, point blank, the end. I have never read a book of his and not absolutely loved it. He has two different genres, though. Both are equally dark. So he has, like, really dark thrillers that, like, you're going to see in this one.
Yeah.
The other genre he has, though, is dark sci-fi. So he has this, like, universe that he made. If you've seen The One on Netflix. The One is it's a sci-fi show book about how they created this blood test to be able to tell who your soulmate is. You told me about this.
Yes.
Yes, I have told you about it. So he has a whole universe. So there's The One, there's The Marriage Act. The most recent one I read was The Family Experiment, which is like a future where we're so overpopulated, you're not allowed to have kids anymore. And they create this game show where you basically have this Tamagotchi virtual kid. And the parent who raises their kid and wins the popular vote gets the choice of keeping their virtual child or deleting their virtual child and getting an actual baby. It's a crazy sci-fi world.
That one sounds just crazy.
It is. It was so crazy. They all are. They're all very dark and crazy, but there's sci-fi and then there's like regular thrillers. So this is like one of his regular thrillers. But again, I've read a lot of his work and I love all of it. This is a thriller and I put /horror because it's dark. So trigger warnings are going to be child sexual abuse that is mentioned, incest that is mentioned, murder, and miscarriage. So if any of those are not your thing, we loved you. We hope we had a great time with us, and we'll see you next week. Anyway, she clocks in at 379 pages. I gave her a 4 out of 5. Goodreads gave her a 4.03 out of 5. Got really close there. Again, this book is just really messed up. Here we go. So we're going to open up on a 68-year-old woman named Maggie, who is looking out of the window of her attic, where her 38-year-old daughter, Nina, has kept her chained up for the past 2 years. So this daughter, Nina, has kept her old mother chained up in the attic for 2 years. That sounds healthy. What I love about this book is it is dual POVs and alternating timelines. So I wrote this summary in hopes of making it a little more straightforward, but it's a lot of jumping around in the book. I personally love that. If you don't, it's a good thing you're listening to me. So obviously, because she's chained up in the attic, the relationship between this mother and daughter is extremely strained. However, Maggie, the daughter, Maggie's the mother. Maggie, the mother, wishes that she had a normal relationship with her daughter, Nina. But we're going to learn Nina is not all there in the head. So everyone thinks Maggie has gone to live / take care of her sister who is sick with dementia, which is why for the past 2 years, no one's really asked Nina about her. But Nina still does really crazy things, like make her mom have dinner with her every single Tuesday. Like she'll drag her chained ass downstairs and make her have this seemingly normal dinner every week.
What is the age between
So Nina's them? Nina's 39, almost 40. Maggie is going to be 68. So there's yeah, they're older. They're definitely older. Yeah, Nina still brings her books and stuff to try to make her more comfortable in the attic, but whenever she gets mad at Maggie for trying to escape, Nina will absolutely lash out, or she'll do really petty things like undoing the screws in her mom's reading glasses. She's an absolute bitch. Not just because she chained her mom up in the attic, but we should note here that Nina herself really wants to be a mom. She's crazy to the point where, like, when she's in public, she saw a baby whose nose was running, and she used her own sleeve to wipe the baby's nose. And the mom was like, ew, what the fuck? Get away from my baby. And Nina was like, I didn't do anything wrong. Nina is just, you gotta know Nina's crazy. At this point, we don't know why Nina has locked up her mother. But we do know a lot of the reasons she does resent her mother, because we get clues of their past. For example, here are some reasons Nina does not really love her mother. When Nina was 13 years old, her father left in the middle of the night. Her mother said that they were separating, and while Nina could not visit him, she could write him letters. Nina always blamed Maggie for her father's leaving because Nina loved her father. So she always blamed her mom for that. At 14, which is a little bit of a year after her dad left, Nina was acting out a lot. She got pregnant and actually had a miscarriage. Maggie told her that she had this hereditary medical condition that makes it hard for them to keep pregnancies. And that was another thing she blamed her mom for because it was hereditary. Again, at 14, Nina started dating a 22-year-old lead singer of a band. Yeah, I should put pedophilia in here. I forgot there was pedophilia. My bad. And that band leader, his name was John. Even when John learned how old she was, he only liked her more. So Nina's like having a super healthy childhood. Soon after they were dating, he actually was sentenced to 25 years in prison for the death of his actual girlfriend, his appropriately aged girlfriend. And Nina believes that he did not kill the girl, nor was the girl he was living with actually his girlfriend. She was like the jealous little girlfriend who was like, that wasn't his real girlfriend. He didn't kill her. And for some reason, she also blames her mom for him being incarcerated. She doesn't know why, but she's like, it has something to do with him. She just blames her mom for literally everything. And we learned that after almost, oh God, how old would that make him? Yeah, almost like 23 years in prison, John passed away in prison as well, which was really hard on Nina because she was groomed and all that fun jazz. So those are just a couple reasons that Nina is, I hate you, Mom. So now we're back in the present, and there are a couple of key events that are happening in the present that are very important. So for one, a neighbor asks Nina again about Maggie's whereabouts. And while Nina tells her the story again, my mom, she's with her sick sister, the neighbor does not believe her. From the attic window, Maggie notices a strange young man who keeps coming over and going to knock on the door, but then he like chickens out and leaves. And she's like, what the fuck is with this kid coming to my house? The other thing that happens is Maggie tries to pick the lock of her chain with a hairpin that she found on the floor during one of their Tuesday night dinners. The pin breaks in the lock, and when Nina goes to undo the lock to bring her to dinner, she realizes what Maggie had done and decided to cut the chain with wire cutters to redo everything. So she's, oh my God, you stupid bitch. I have to redo all of these chains because you broke the lock. So Maggie sees this as like her chance to try to fight her way out, because while Maggie does love her daughter, despite her being an absolute psychopath, she's also trying to get out of her chains. So she tries to fight Nina. Maggie punches Nina, and after some moving around, Nina eventually smashes Maggie's head into the tub. So after this, Nina goes into this like odd psychosis where she starts seeing everything in black and red. Yeah, so she like, it's almost like, you know the phrase red when you're really angry? That's what Nina goes into when she gets really fucking pissed, is she goes in the psychosis where all she sees is black and red. And then she starts seeing things that like aren't happening. So she believes her mom has somehow gotten a hold of a knife and everything. And then when she blinks, her vision returns back to normal. She realizes Maggie does not have a knife. So this is the first time we see Nina is like, there's something really wrong with her. Not only is she psychotic, but she goes into these fits of like rage where she doesn't really see the whole picture and she like blacks out all of it. Weird. So, yeah, it's weird. Nina's weird, man. So Maggie recognizes this rage-filled episode since it has happened before. She says, you know, she's only seen Nina go into those episodes 3 times. And that was the 4th or whatever. Maggie doesn't blame Nina for being a complete psychopath. She blames the outside forces that has caused her to develop these episodes. Maggie's her mom. You really love your kids. And she's like, I really love Nina. It's not her fault that she's this way. So despite Nina locking her up in the basement, the attic, Maggie's really trying to just understand her daughter. So after this whole fun fight where Maggie tries to escape, Nina feels really guilty about this whole thing. And she decides to cancel her plans with somebody named Bobby. And that's somebody who we know she sees twice a month. We don't really know who Bobby is at this point, but we know she's very infatuated with him and is punishing herself. She's punishing herself in a way, but she's like, because I did this really bad thing, so now I don't get to see Bobby. So now we're going to flash back to the past for a bit and learn a bit wow, Nina is fucking nuts. At this point, Nina is 17 years old. So if you remember, I said she got pregnant when she was 14.
Yeah.
Shocker. The baby was John's, that lead singer of the band, who was 22 years old. Gotta love that. Maggie comes home one day And luckily for Nina, Maggie works in the medical field. She works in just a doctor's office and stuff. She's not necessarily a nurse, but she is around everything. And when she comes home one day, Nina is in active labor. And Maggie didn't even know she was pregnant. Did not even know. She just comes home and her daughter's like in labor. She hid it that somehow. So Nina does have this child, and they have it at home since Maggie works in, like I said, a doctor's office and everything. So Maggie delivers this child at home. However, Maggie tells Nina that the baby passed away and that she buried her in the backyard, when in reality, Maggie put this baby up for adoption. So I know, like in another dark book I just did like 2 episodes ago, she told her daughter at 14 years old, she was like, hey, baby passed away. Sorry, but that wasn't the truth. So Nina is super weak for a while after the home birth. Like, she's just out for weeks. When you're that young and you have a pregnancy, especially a home birth or whatever, obviously she's going to be down for the count for a hot second. So she keeps asking her mom to see John. She's like, please I want to see John. I want him to know what happened. And Maggie tells her that, hey, I reached out to John, but he didn't want to come. And though Nina can't remember things, she keeps going in and out of consciousness. Maggie claims that one of her doctors from her office came to visit and diagnosed Nina with depression and prescribed her medication for it, which Maggie insists on Nina taking. And she does so for a year. So it's just weird haze of, I want to see John. John doesn't want to come. She's diagnosed with depression. She gets on meds. And honestly, the meds start helping Nina at this age. We fast forward and she was able to graduate high school and start college. It seems that she went from this out phase from when her father left, and she seems to be getting better. Except when Nina turns 19, she develops early menopause. And yeah, despite wanting to be a mother, she just decides that if I can't be a mother, dating is just not worth it anymore. So she just stops dating.
Okay.
So that's a little more background about Nina, because we're going to see how Nina became as crazy as she is. Okay, so now we're going to get into the part where we find out why Nina even locked up her mother. So this is around 2 years before the present, leading up to those events. As I mentioned, Nina always wanted to be a mother. And since she went through early onset menopause, she decided, okay, I'm going to adopt or foster a child. If I can't have one of my own, I would love to help another child.
Yeah.
So she makes this incredible effort to seem like the perfect candidate. However, when her mom finds out, she tries to convince Nina that it's probably just not a good idea for her. Hey, maybe this isn't for you. And mind you, Maggie has her reasons, and they're very valid. Nina should not be a mother. Nina is still very much not set with her mental health, and she's like going out of her way to seem like the perfect candidate. It's not that she is the perfect candidate. She's like going above and beyond to seem a lot better than she is. So her mom's trying to say, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea. Nina, of course, disagrees. However, when you go through this process, social workers call your friends and family. So when the social worker calls Maggie for a reference, Maggie explains how Nina basically wouldn't be a good fit. And because of that phone call, Nina's application is rejected. So another reason she probably doesn't love her mom. So after this, Nina decides to go to another doctor. She's, okay, that didn't work out. Maybe we can figure out another way for me to do this naturally. Maybe there's something that could happen.
How old is she at this point? Sorry.
No, so she would be 37 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, this is around 30. This is like around the time, because in the present she's 39, so this is 2 years before, around the time she locked up her mother.
Okay.
And we're going to figure out why. Nina usually goes to the doctor at the office her mother works at. However, she decides at this point that, okay, I'm going to go to a different doctor. I'm going to go get a second opinion about this early onset menopause that I have. And basically at this other doctor, she learns that Maggie lied to her when she said that a doctor came over when she was young and diagnosed her with depression and gave her medicine. That doctor didn't exist. And the medication she was taking was not antidepressants. It turned out, so remember how she has early onset menopause?
Yep.
Was an antidepressant she was taking. Her mother was giving her pills to induce that kind of thing and to induce infertility, because Nina was so wild and like constantly having sex at such a young age, and she didn't want that to happen again. She learns all of that is a lie. And around this time, Nina keeps receiving a Facebook request from someone named Bobby. And She keeps rejecting the request, but finally around this time, she is in this weird mood and she just gives in and starts creating this very odd online friendship with this Bobby. So while Nina thinks of Bobby romantically, she demands to know his intentions for even talking to her because she's like, okay, I'm starting to really like this guy. I need to know why the hell he's even talking to me in the first place. And Bobby admits that he thinks they might be siblings. Isn't that great? Don't you love when you start online romance and they're like, hey, I think we're actually related. So Nina's okay. Yeah. So Nina's okay, dude, we need to meet in person. Because what do you mean you think we're siblings? What's going on here? But she is excited because if this is her sibling, that means it's probably one that she shares with her father. Right. And that means she could potentially see her dad again because she hasn't seen her dad since he left. He left her and never came back. And she's, oh my God, this is fantastic news. I just found out my mom did all this, but maybe I can see my dad again. So Bobby brings his birth certificate and Nina is really bummed to see that Maggie is actually listed as the mother and there is no father. However, she goes into a rage when she sees his birthday. It is the same day that Nina gave birth when she was young. So Bobby is not her brother, but her son. So this freaks Nina out. Nina's, I have to go. I gotta go. I need answers. I need to leave. She goes home and she goes through all her mother's belongings and she starts finding documentation of Bobby's adoption. She found the drug that caused her first miscarriage. She's finding the drugs her mom gave her that were antidepressants because remember, her mom worked in a doctor's office. She had access to all of this. So she's finding all this evidence and then she finds all of her father's stuff. She starts finding his clothes, his belongings, things that you're like, why would he leave without these things? She's finding them in boxes. Mm-hmm. And so it's insinuating that he ever actually left. And she's like, what the fuck? So after all of this, Nina's, okay, if Bobby's my kid, then what the fuck is buried in the backyard? Because remember, Maggie told her that the baby passed and was in the backyard. So she's, okay, I just found my baby. So what the fuck? She goes to the backyard and digs up where she knows the baby is. And she ends up finding her father's body there instead. She concludes that Maggie killed him and goes into this rage where she's like, my mom killed my dad. So that's what leads to her drugging her mother and locking her in the attic. So that was the final straw.
Yeah.
So in this fast progression, she learns her mother's been drugging her with things that aren't antidepressants. Her baby is actually alive and her father is dead.
Holy shit.
So an already unstable woman decides to just go above and beyond. And that's why her mother is locked in the attic.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, isn't that fun? So when Maggie starts to wake up from the drugs, Nina confronts her about everything. And Maggie admits to all of it, but says that it was all in her best interest. So she's, I know that you think I'm this terrible monster, but I did all of these things for you.
Oh, you killed my dad for me? What the fuck do you mean? You killed your husband?
She even lied about the condition so that Nina would be safer with sex. Like I said, she lied about their having a hereditary condition where she couldn't get pregnant. She just lied about it all because she was so out of control. Preceding all of this, she locks her mom up and she woo-saws and calms down a bit. And she's, okay, I need to meet with Bobby again. So she meets with Bobby and she explains almost everything. Obviously, she excludes, I locked my mom in an attic and my mom drugged me. But she explains, I was pregnant. I had you. I wanted to keep you. My mom lied to me and gave you up for adoption, blah, blah, blah. But Bobby is actually just really happy that he found his biological mom and decides he just wants to get her to know her more, basically. But Nina actually ends up struggling a lot with this because, for one, she consistently has romantic feelings towards Bobby because I know it's so gross. This is where the incest comes in. Not really, but yeah. Because she initially had an attraction to him, she doesn't understand how to separate it. Also, you have to remember, Nina always wanted to be a mom. So this is almost like an enmeshment kind of thing where mothers have this, actually, I do know you know this. Mothers have this weird obsession with their sons. She has these romantic feelings towards him. She has to remind herself that this is her son. She's also very jealous of his adoptive parents, especially because they got all her quote unquote stolen years.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Finally, Nina starts to realize that Bobby views her more as a friend than a mother figure, and that crushes her because she wants to be this kid's mother. Mind you, this kid's 18.
Yeah.
It just crushes her. So this is the time where spoilers are going to happen. So if you're like, wow, this is good, there's more twists, and these are the really important ones. So bye, we love you. We're gonna go back even further now. We're gonna find out what the hell happened with when Nina was 13 years old. So remember, her father left at 13. So we're gonna figure out what happened that night. All right, so Nina's 13 years old, and one night Maggie wakes up in the middle of the night to grab some water when she sees her husband sneaking out of Nina's room. She questions him and was like, what were you doing in our daughter's room in the middle of the night? And he has this really guilty look on his face. So without warning, Nina, little 13-year-old Nina, comes up from behind and starts hitting her father over the head with a heavy object until he dies. Maggie cleans up everything, puts Nina back to bed, hides all of her husband's belongings, and buries him in the backyard. Nina wakes up the next morning as if nothing happened. So remember, Nina gets into these very crazy, icy red rages where she doesn't remember anything after. And this was the first time her mother saw it, is when her husband snuck out of his room. Remember, Nina thinks her mom killed her husband.
Yeah.
Or her dad. In reality, Nina did. And Maggie is trying to hide that from her because she doesn't want Nina to know that she's the one who actually killed the father she loves so much.
Yeah.
Nina, like I said, Nina wakes up the next morning as if nothing happened. Maggie later learns that her husband, or starts like insinuating, oh my gosh, has my husband been sexually assaulting Nina for years? What has been going on? Is this a trauma response for Nina that she doesn't remember anything? She doesn't remember the sexual assault or the killing or whatever it is. She just doesn't know. And she never remembers this even as an adult. It never comes back to Nina that she killed her own father.
Yeah.
In some form of trauma response, she's just blocked this out. Like I said, that's why she blames Maggie for him leaving. And Maggie never tells Nina the truth, which is just crazy to me. It's like a catch-22. Either way, you're screwed. Maggie just tried to do what was best for her daughter. And that's why earlier she was like, I did everything in your best interest. We also learned that when Nina was 17 and having her child, when she had Bobby, Maggie comes home to see Nina standing in a daze. She has her child. It's a couple days later, and Nina's just standing there in a daze, and she has blood all over her, and she's holding a knife. Nina cannot remember anything that happened. She went into another one of those rages. Maggie cleans her up and does some digging, and it turns out Nina snuck out to go see John to tell him about the baby and what happened. But Nina learned when she showed up that he did have a girlfriend, and she went into one of her blacked out rages. And in that blacked out rage, killed John's girlfriend. Oh. John does not remember any of this because he was so fucked up on drugs, he was passed out. Since Nina does not remember any of this, is why she genuinely blames her mom for everything. This is also the period where Maggie says that a doctor came and gave her medication, and it was basically to try to keep her in line. So all of these things that Nina is blaming Maggie for is actually things Nina has done and just doesn't fucking remember. Yeah, it's getting dicey. We're almost to the big fun finale. So we're going to go back to the present. We're going to stay in the present for the rest of this time. Nina invites Bobby over to the house to see where he was born. And Nina is immediately upset when he gets there because he is not wearing the jacket she bought for him. She's just fucking crazy, bro. And eventually Nina suggests to him that he live with her since his parents aren't even his real parents. Because that's what you say.
And this that's also how that works.
Exactly. They don't matter. I do. You should live with me. And of course, this upsets Bobby because those are his parents. And he ends up leaving and just being like, hey, I need space. He's starting to realize that this relationship with Nina is not okay. Through some sleuthing, Nina gets more crazy and finds that Bobby has a boyfriend. And she texts this boyfriend to stop taking all of Bobby's time. She also learns that Bobby's adoptive mother is having a birthday party. And of course, she sneaks into the house the day of the party and digs through Bobby's room. I need you to read this regardless of how far you've made it, because I need you to understand what I love about John Mars is he knows how to write a fucked up character, and he does a great job of it. I'm absolutely butchering his beautiful writing. He knows how to write a fucked up character, and I love him for it. So at this party, eventually, she is confronted by Bobby and his adopted mother. Nina gets really angry and lashes out at his adoptive mother to the point where she's almost seeing red again. But Bobby eventually tells her to leave, which kind of brings her back down to earth, and she does leave. So she almost just killed his adoptive mother because this bitch is crazy. Instead of going crazy on Bobby's adoptive mother, she goes home and, I don't know, abuses Maggie because she doesn't know where to point her anger to. She starts beating her up and blaming her for everything, and she's screaming at her, going nuts. And then suddenly, she realizes that they're not alone. She turns around, and witnessing all of what's going on is actually Bobby. He had somehow gotten into the house and saw everything Nina did. The reason he was even there is because he was getting worried, because after Nina had left the party, she kept texting him and being like, if you don't talk to me, I'm going to kill myself, basically. So he got so worried, he rushed over to her home. And when she didn't answer the door, he broke in and he saw all of this. Poor scared Bobby has seen Maggie and seen this abuse and seen that she's chained up. So Nina decides that she just got to bash him over the head, logically, because he's seen too much.
Mm-hmm.
Then she ends up knocking Maggie out as well. So when Maggie wakes up, she's still locked in the attic, and she believes Nina has accidentally killed Bobby in one of her blind rages. We are now in the epilogue where we are 10 months later. That's how the book itself ends. We're in the epilogue, which is 10 months later. Oh, I know. Don't get me started. John Mars, man, he knows how to write a fucked up book, this man. So we're 10 months later, and Nina suddenly has some memories come back. She doesn't remember killing her father, but she remembers that night that Maggie explains him coming out of the room. It turns out her father was never sexually abusing her. That was something that Maggie had construed in her head because she didn't understand what was going on. It turns out that night that her father snuck into her room, he basically told Nina that he no longer loved her mother and that he was going to leave for another woman. And that's why Nina went into a rage. Maggie, all of Nina's life, has thought that he had sexually abused her, which is why she was the way she was. In reality, he never touched her.
Yeah.
But that's what prompted Nina to start attacking him. So she remembers basically everything that happened and what he said, but she doesn't remember actually attacking him. Later that day at work, she receives a call from the neighbor that her house is on fire, because that's a fun call to receive. Maggie was done. Maggie, her mother, was basically done living the way she was. She was like, listen, I love my daughter, but I can't keep living like this. I'm done. And during one of those dinners, she found matches and ended up causing a fire to just end her own life. She's like, I'm the only one in this house. I'm just going to go.
Damn.
When Nina returns home to the fire in her house, police are trying to keep her back. She's like, this is my house. This is my house. And they're like, oh, this is your house? Why are there 2 chained up bodies in this burned house? Not 1, 2. So one obviously belongs to Maggie, but it turns out she didn't kill Bobby. He had been locked up in the basement for the past 10 months. We learn a little bit more about that, and apparently Nina, when he initially disappeared, Nina was just able to elude the police for the longest time because police can't actually do their fucking job, apparently. But basically, the story ends up with Nina being arrested and her world going black. This is why I told you it was a fucked up one, man.
But did his adoptive parents not accuse her?
No, he was like, they did. But when police went to go check and stuff, they never had a warrant or anything. They couldn't get one. And she just always said, like, he's not, I don't know where he is. I haven't heard from him or anything. Again, and that's, you might think to yourself, oh, that seems really implausible. No, it's completely plausible, because I have watched so many documentaries where things just go under the radar because of protocol or because people don't do their job. It's totally plausible. I just watched the fucking Gabby Petito documentary. And there were so many things in that documentary where she could have been saved and she wasn't. And they were just like, oh, he's just a loving boyfriend. He's not going to kill his girlfriend. So yeah, like I said, something I love about John Mars, and I always will, is he is so good at writing a fucked up character. Nina is one of the most fucked up characters I've ever seen in my life. He has another book I love. I shouldn't say I love. It's called, oh my God, what is it called? Oh, The Good Samaritan. Basically about a woman who works at a suicide hotline and once in a while chooses somebody to actually help go through with their suicide. He knows how to write the most fucked up, diabolical characters you will ever see in your life. And I said this in one of our recent posts. We did hot takes in the standby line. I told y'all, I love a fucked up book. But as Jordan knows, because I've talked to her about this, I love a fucked up character who gets justice. There's a difference. I like a fucked up character who gets justice.
Yeah.
When they don't, it makes me mad. She does get justice in the end, technically. She does get arrested.
Right. Yeah. Damn.
But yeah, that's what lies between us. I always highly recommend anything by John Mars as long as you can take how dark he is. But like I said, next week, or I didn't say this, I told Jordan earlier. Next week, I'm going to do a book that is sci-fi thriller. It is very Black Mirror coded. Definitely not as fucked up as this, but definitely as interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry if you've stuck around this long and you have heard all of this. My condolences, but it's your fault. You know I like dark things. But yeah, that was what lies between us.
Yeah, I'm excited to do. I'll be doing a book club book next episode.
No, you're gonna do that book?
Butcher and Bird.
Oh, thank God. Actually, no, I'm excited because I have no want in any capacity to read that book. So I'm glad you're gonna tell me what it's about so I don't have to fuck it.
So I think I'm about, let me actually check how far into the book I currently am. I'm 66 of the 66% of the way through the book right now.
You go, girl. You go.
And we've finally gotten to the smut. But I can't wait to have book club on Sunday night because I'm so interested in finding out if the other girls did a private browser search to figure out what types of piercings this main character woman has. Because when
I probably know exactly what piercing you're talking about.
Oh, piercings. 4.
No.
4. And I was like, they were like, she was just, anyway, I couldn't picture it in my head. So I'm like, I need to know what this looks like because this sounds fucking crazy. It looks fucking crazy, okay?
Oh, like, I'm sure it does. Absolutely.
I showed Tyler, I'm like, she can't have a kid with that piercing down there. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I can't wait to, I honestly can't wait to see that or hear about that. We hope you had a fun time with us. It is time for me to probably go to bed here soon because my body is that of a 12-year-old's, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I've been staring at a computer screen since actually 12 hours.
Oh my God, I forget you work that. Oh, dear.
Yeah, okay. So this is going to be so fun for me to try and relax, but then I'm going to be looking at my iPad screen to read the book. So I love that for me personally.
Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I love it for you too. Anyway, love you dearly. We will see you all next week. Oh my God, I always forget. Please follow us for the love of God. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, Spotify.
Subscribe.
Please.
Comment. Share, maybe. Just a little bit share.
Just a little bit share, please. Yeah. With your local book clubs and anybody else who likes books. Or maybe people who don't like books and just like listening to crazy stories. But we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.